Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, brought to you by the great folks over at Montana's, which we are heading to tomorrow. No show tomorrow. I'll say it right off the top so we don't forget. No show tomorrow. My co-host over here and I are going to the Montana's in Tsawwassen. Last year when we went, a listener of ours, Greg of Ladwasson, came out, criticized me for cutting some of the shows short. And it'll be nice. Hopefully, some people come out tomorrow. I think what time are we gonna be there? Like 1 o'clock, 2:30, 2 o'clock.
Lunchtime. We're gonna be there for lunchtime.
It'll be good.
I think 1:30 or so. 1:30 or so.
Yep. Come pop by. Come say hi. We'll be at the Montana's in Tsawwassen. Speaking of Montana's, they've got the daily deals right now, and you should absolutely go check it out. Today is a Monday. Half-price wings. The debate rages on about how many wings is too many. 7 locations throughout British Columbia: Fort St. John, Kelowna, Langley, Nanaimo, Prince George, Tsawwassen, and Victoria. Go check out Montana's today.
That Tsawwassen one, she's new. She's got nice walls, good inside, patio's beautiful. And you know, listen, you want to go shop a little bit? You're at the Tsawwassen Mills Mall out there too. So why not? You know, get yourself a bunch of wings in you. A couple of those Stella Artois. You know, last time I didn't have I'm gonna have a drink this time. I'm gonna have just one beer. Well, maybe. We'll see what happens.
Well, you're driving, so yeah,
so just one.
Yeah. At most. Anyways, my co-host here, Chris Faber.
Yeah.
My name is Dave Quadrelli, joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer today is Alex Allard. We're back from vacation, although Chris does not look like it. For those on the live show on YouTube,
right? Which,
if you haven't already, folks, check us out Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. live on the Nation Network YouTube channel. Chris is wearing a visor, some aviators, and a Rick Dollywell's closet. You got that shirt from?
Yeah. Well,
and a chain.
We didn't get a full vacation last week, so I'm riding into vacation still this week. Also, you're going to see a lot of hats throughout the week this week because I need to get a haircut really bad. So I'm still just riding the last little bit of vacation out here, and I want to see how it goes. I haven't done a show because normally I feel like people are watching my eyes. They know when I look over to the word of the day. They know when I'm sneaking around. Now you can't do it. It's like a poker game. You can't see what I'm looking at. Well, sort of. I still turn my head. I can't control that. But yeah, that's this is my good fit. I'm still in the vacation mode here.
Someone pointed out
it's comfortable as all heck too. I got I turned the AC off because I run AC all year long. Okay, I run hot. For people who don't know, I run hot. So the apartment's always got the AC going. Talked to a guy in the elevator about this the other day. He laughed at me to my face about keeping the AC on, but I run hot. So I turned it off today because it was cold. Like it was chilly. The AC should not be on in this temperature. But then I start to heat up. But this is a free flowing shirt. And I feel good in it. So,
okay.
You're ripping me before we got on the show that I can't wear this shirt on here.
No, I think it's fine. Right. I'm a little jealous that I didn't get the memo.
Nope.
Anyways, we did a Patreon. Patreon.com/Canucks Convo. $5 and $10 here.
Hold on. Quickly, Montana's content. I just saw this again. They got $50 gift card this week. Even bigger than last week.
Our giveaway.
$50 gift card this week. I go on the Instagram because that's what you got to do. You got to go on the Instagram, comment, like, follow, all that stuff. Easy money. You know how many people have commented on the Instagram post right now? 1, and it's telling like free singles in Vancouver area or something. Your buddies on the chat there,
chat.
Your 69 chats or whatever you got going on. That's the only people who have replied to the. Go over the Canucks Army Instagram account. It's the first one pinned there. You get a free $50 gift card. Come out to Tsawwassen
and make sure you follow it because I've been doing the graphics for Canucks Army.
Yeah, your graphics have been gorgeous.
Yeah. Thank you.
The graphics look great on Canucks Army over there. I think it's awesome.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. Lisa's asking, why didn't we announce this earlier? We didn't really know we were going to Montana's.
That's right.
Kind of got, we found out 2 days ago, Lisa, so apologies for not letting you know sooner. Knucklehead saying, Faber holding the clipboard over his mouth while he says the word of the day, so the other team's bench doesn't see it.
This is my word of the day thing right here. I don't want to give away the word of the day, but look at how thick it is.
People pointed this out, and you were telling me this off air. We did a Patreon, like I said.
Yeah.
You were telling me this off air that someone messaged you and said, Quads always kind of looks over at the word of the day calendar anytime you say a big word.
Yeah, you lean over because you can see it over here. But now I got it covered up pretty good. Everything's handled. I cleaned this whole office area up too. I don't know if you noticed. Didn't touch any of that crap in the corner. Don't worry about that. But the whole desk, everything. I wiped everything down from tip to tail. Had a nice weekend there, kind of getting all set. So
fantastic. All right, let's get into it. Before we get to the so what now for the Vancouver Canucks, Bo Horvat signing an 8-year extension, $8.5 million. Isles general manager saying it's too long and it's for too much money. He's probably right. Lou Lamoriello obviously has said similar stuff. I think, who was it? Kovalchuk was who he said it about before. Doesn't think the players should be getting the money. They are contracts for too long, too much money.
Yeah, a lot of people shredding the deal, but man,
look, sorry, go on.
The dude's going to get paid by somebody, and like the Islanders had to do it, right?
Yep.
Like maybe they didn't have to do the exact money, but you don't give up that many assets to do nothing. So they had to do it. That's the situation they're in. But like, I don't know, just hearing from, the rumblings around the Islanders fan base, I think they're feeling like they got a little fleeced. Like taking the whole, like, we don't do this often with other NHL teams, but I've been able to do this with the Islanders, just kind of reading the room on the situation. And it's like, the Islanders aren't a great team that need to make that move either. Like this sounds very Canucks-esque.
Okay,
to go out and sign the player that's going to get you to the playoffs instead of being the player that gets you from the playoffs to a Stanley Cup contender. That's what the Horvat situation feels. So I want success for Bo Horvat, but the Islanders aren't even in a playoff spot right now, man. They got some work to do.
What I did a lot over my break, I read and I
probably
watched.
Talked about your dog.
No,
you do that a lot.
I watched Islanders stuff. And I learned about the Islanders. Everybody has this idea that the Islanders are this stingent defensive team. The Islanders are like a bottom 5 defensive team this year. They suck. They're horrible defensively. Like they are worse than the Canucks in some categories, and I should have written them down.
Sorokin's their guy, though.
Sorokin is fantastic.
Yeah. He's
a great goaltender. But this idea that people have is like, oh, well, they got Bo Horvat because they need offense because they're such a good defensive team. Right. Barry Trotz isn't the coach anymore. And again, I'm not trying to say, that the guy they got there now, what's his name? Lane Lambert. That's a fantastic name.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm not trying to say that, he's a bad coach or anything. I'm just saying his system is not defensively sound. Like that's not what this team is playing. They are having trouble. The area that is plaguing the Islanders most this season, Chris, at least what I think, is the power play. Like they haven't been able to score on the power play. Their power play sucks. And you know where they have a huge hole, Chris?
Let me guess, the bumper position.
The bumper position.
There you go.
You imagine. And again, Islanders play tonight. We'll see what happens. Horvat obviously in the lineup. But the boost, if they just get a boost on their power play, like the Islanders are legitimately a team that could not only make the playoffs, but potentially make some noise in the playoffs. Just if Sorokin's hot. Like, that's all you need is a hot goaltender, and your team knows how to score. If they can figure this out on the power play, like 5-on-5 production, not that bad. Like, legitimately fine. They're like middle of the pack, 5-on-5 production, middle of the pack. Toward bottom. But anyways, defense, not good. But again, the goaltender, great. It's giving similar vibes to last year when Canucks fans were like, the defense is fine. The Canucks had the least amount of 5-on-5 goals against of any team in the league. Giving similar vibes to that with the way Sorokin's playing.
That's what I said. There's a lot of just the feeling around the trade hearing from Islanders fans. Like, hey, I feel like I've been there as someone who follows the Canucks a little bit. But, maybe he is the guy who gets them over the top, right?
Who knows? I think the Islanders address their biggest need here. And it's not as simple as like, scoring. Because, Bo's going to score a lot of goals.
Yeah,
but
he's going to score.
The power play, like having Bo in that bumper spot where teams really have to contend with it, like, that's going to be dangerous. We've seen how much it's opened up Bo in Vancouver to have Elias Pettersson just standing there and teams having to honor his one-timer and, cheat to Pettersson. That's why he doesn't have as many goals. But you look at how many Bo's got. Yeah, they're all cheating. And again, you're going to see Bumpin' Bo in Long Island. I think he's going to be fantastic.
We spent the whole last week on Bo. Let's get to the Canucks. Let's see the lines. Let's start with the lines. We got a game tonight, Quads. We always do this. You're 3 hours away from game time here with the early start. We got, let's start with Beauvillier, right? Let's start right there.
Yes.
Anthony Beauvillier, Antonio Beauvillier. Quads trust him on the back end because of his mispronounced name from the general manager. Beauvillier, he's playing with Elias Pettersson and Andrei Kuzmenko. I tell you what, man. This lineup sure looks... It's crazy that you take one player out, like one significant player out in Bo Horvat, because Lane Peterson's off of there as well. Not forget, he got claimed on waivers. You bring up Podkolzin, but you lose Horvat. And I tell you, I don't know what. This looks like a completely different lineup to me here. Kuzmenko, Pettersson, Beauvillier off the top. Joshua, Miller, Garland at the second line. Podkolzin, Dries, Besser on your third line. And then Di Giuseppe, Amon, and Lazar. rounding out that forward group. Why does it look so different? Feel so different to me? Like, I know it's a huge piece that you're missing with Horvat, but this looks like a completely different team, man. I don't know what it is. Am I just tripping out here?
Podkolzin, DiGiuseppe, and Aman weren't in the lineup before, right? Ilya Mikheyev was on LTIR.
That's right.
It does feel like a very different forward group. You're seeing Dakota Joshua still get that chance in the top 6, which, hey, I'm all for that. You're seeing Connor Garland.
Tocchet likes him, man. Tocchet likes Joshua.
As we wrote about at Canucks Army, basically first couple days into the break, quote unquote, Michael Liu, our guy doing the statsies, wrote in something about Connor Garland.
He's smart,
and how
Mike Liu guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a smart guy. He's a medical guy. He's
he
like
is.
the athletic therapist over at UBC for one of the sports teams. Can't remember which one. It might actually be hockey. Anyways, not gonna just guess what Mike does. But he wrote about Connor Garland having a lot of success under Rick Tocchet. One, in Arizona, because Tocchet was there when Garland was learning some stuff. But two, these first 3 games that he's had under Tocchet, Garland's looked like a better player. Like I've noticed him in games and been like, wow, he looks a lot better.
Yeah.
And the numbers back it up. 3 games in, Connor Garland looks like the player that Vancouver thought they were getting when they gave up the boatload of assets to get him and Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with Connor Garland, who a lot of people wrote out of town a month ago. Now that he's back with this coach that likes him, like I'm curious if Rutherford and Alvin are big on Connor Garland because they like their back and forth speed. And Garland, he's shifty, he's quick, he's that little, what do they call little road runner on the ice there. But
yes,
he might be a guy who really works with Tocchet, and maybe Tocchet has a conversation. Says, no, like I can get the value on his contract playing him the way that I play him, right? And like that could be an interesting turnaround for Garland here, who like everybody's talking about. You got to trade him. It's $5 million cap. You got to trade him.
Rumors of a buyout, that would be so stupid.
That was not even a month ago talking about the buyout for Garland. And it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Like, yeah, you don't want to pay so much money on your wings, but I tell you what, if you can get the best out of Garland in this situation, it might be coming here with Rick Tocchet.
Okay, and I wanted to quickly talk about the call-ups here.
Well, hold on. I got more stuff on this. Sure. I got audio. You don't look at the outline ever.
Well, we don't need to get to
a few. No, so what now? Here's the other thing that we didn't just say. Pettersson and Hughes, they're going to be alternate captains, or you call them assistants or associate. This argument that people have about,
so
oh, you can't, it's alternate. Don't call them associate. Don't call them assistant. What the hell's the difference, man?
Okay.
I say assistant captains all the time. That's what I say.
I've spoken to players who play in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
And they literally have said to me the word assistant captain.
I know. Same here.
And so this idea, because I know there was a few people out there freaking out, being like, oh, it's alternate. It's alternate.
People that get pissed off about this piss me off.
Yeah, people that get legitimately upset about that. I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm imagining a player giving an interview and saying assistant captain on TV or something. It's like, oh!
Yeah, then somebody's going to be wanting, that's not the way to say it.
That's not the way to say it. Guy who literally
I got Knucklehead in here saying associate captain. Maybe that one's
associate.
Weird.
I've never actually heard.
I think I might have screwed up that one actually.
Associate.
But captain. These people, you know what? More and more, the older I get, the more and more I just want to tell people shut up when they talk. Some people you just got to tell them to shut up. And these are the people that give me crap for this. Who cares? Assistant captain. Is it the same with coaches or is it different? You can be an assistant coach.
It's assistant coach.
I thought it was associate coach.
No.
Oh, where am I getting associate from?
When did you? I have never.
Boom, word of the day, associate. I've said it 5 times. No, that's not
your word. I've edited so much of your work. You've never said associate captain.
Yeah, because I always change it to alternate because these people are yelling at me.
Let me quickly get this in before the audio. I want to talk about these call-ups because
that's a whole next segment. I got one more audio here for the what now.
We still got to do so what now. We haven't even started
That's what we're on right now.
We haven't even done it.
Take us back, Alex.
I got a lot. I don't know
if Alex can go back on the thing. That's what I thought we're on right here. Look at that. Thank you, Alex. We're back on the... Let's start. I got an audio to play, and then I know where you want to go, so I got you this audio. I did all this work for you before the show. Talking about the process, right? Because it's not about winning and losing this season. It's more about losing than it is winning. But the big thing, it's about the process. Let's hear Rick Tocchet talking about that process today in pregame.
Yeah, well, it comes to everybody wants the result, but you got to be part of the process, and I think. The Devils have gone through a process to get the results they're getting now. It's no different than us. We want results, but I'm not worried about the results. I'm worried about the process. And I know that's the most overused word. We all use it, coaches, but it's true. The way you deal practices, the way you deal day to day. How do you make young guys be a pro, a real pro? It's a process. you can't just say, hey, we want to win games. There's so much into it. So I think, this organization of the Devils, they've gone through it, the last 3-4 years to get to their point where they are.
This is...
What do you think? Bringing up the Devils kind of interesting.
Well, it is. Well, they're playing them tonight.
Well, yeah, I know that.
I know,
but I'm just saying the way
you're right. You're right. I
you don't hear a coach talk about like the swing of an organization in that way. You talk about them talk about what they do on the ice, but to hear, I liked, man, I tell you, like since Tocchet's come in, like
I like Tocchet a lot.
I have liked the way he's talked, but you know what? I'll be honest here because I've been hurt before. I love the way that Rutherford and Alvin talked when they came here, right? They've still made a lot of things that I don't think that they should have done, but I like the way that Tocchet's at least talked about these situations. Talked about it. Talkated about it.
The chat's enjoying my noises that I was making.
What's that?
Knucklehead said, get a soundbite of Quads making whatever noise that just was. Sounded like you jabbed a horse with a pointy stick.
Oof.
And then in quotation marks wrote, Quads, you're killing me. Anyways, let's get back on track here.
We'll dig it up.
Let's get back on track because, Chris, what we just heard from the Canucks head coach, right? It's like...
Process, baby.
It is music to Canucks fans' ears because we get caught up in semantics sometimes with the word retool, the word rebuild. And hey, like I was out here criticizing when they, didn't move on Kuzmenko and make the trade. They went for an extension instead. I had my criticism about that. But that being said, the actual process, again, like Tocchet said, on the ice, I think all anybody wants is for it to look better next year. Like the Canucks got wins last year under Bruce Boudreau because that's what he was brought in to do. Like Bruce Boudreau was brought in by the owner to get wins for the owner's team. Okay? This coach we're seeing right now is not being brought in to get wins. And that's all Canucks fans want. They want a coach that's going to implement those good habits and create, again, rebuild, retool, whatever. That's how you rebuild a culture. That's how you actually rebuild an organization. I understand you got to get rid of personnel. I understand all that. But again, you're starting to see the pro scouting of this organization, and just in the sense of every player they've targeted, Riley Stillman not included because that was for cap reasons. Every player they've targeted has been a good bet. Like they haven't gone out and got someone that didn't mesh. Like they seem to have a good handle on, okay, this is who we should be targeting. There's no Spiza. There's no good Bransons.
Yeah.
There's no, like, Ilya Mikheyev. You can criticize why they signed him. He fit in really well on this team.
If you didn't have a lot of the other things that this Canucks situation was, but you know what? You have to build off of what you have, right? You have to build or rebuild off of what you have. You can't just walk into an organization and, all right, this is what we're going to start doing now moving forward. That's the way I look at it. Is like if there are really retooling and rebuilding, maybe it is a year. Like it's more than just. It's not like they could come in and trade OEL and trade Brock. It's not like it is a process to get all this stuff done. And yeah, the organization has to deal with the stuff that the organization was doing before this management group got here. Like they have a lot to deal with before they can really get their team together. And I think that's the part that you don't like to argue retool versus rebuild, but I think in a rebuild you get to that spot actually quicker because in a retool, I don't know if you get to that spot. Like, I don't know if you get to the spot of like, okay, we got our base. Let's build a new structure of the organization.
Well,
with a retool, it feels like you have a structure of the organization and you change some pieces around with it.
Well, I think,
right? Like that's how I look at it.
And I understand they were a little bit forced into the move, but I think trading Bo Horvat, like you are rebuilding your foundation. Giving the assistant captains to Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and being very upfront about that. You are rebuilding. You're rebuilding your leadership group. Tocchet's talked about, I want these guys leading by example with practice habits.
Perfect. Two good examples, yes, but two great examples saying that they're going the complete opposite way is signing JT Miller, signing Andrei Kuzmenko. Like those are two moves in the complete opposite direction.
Hang on a sec. I would not, and again, I've come around on this in recent days. The Kuzmenko signing, they go out, get this guy in free agency, right? They like what he brings to the locker room. You've been around Kuzmenko. He's a very nice guy to be around.
Love him, yeah.
Absolutely.
He's the best.
And he's Elias Pettersson's number one winger right now, right? And he's here for 2 more years. Again, I understand the idea that, okay, well, at the expiry of that, he's probably going to cost them a lot and they won't even be able to keep him. But, if you're bringing in this young talent over these next 2 years or whatever it is you're going to do, you still got to have a top end. And again, I'm not justifying not moving him at the deadline. I think it was a bad move not to trade him at the deadline. I agree with you. But I'm not saying that, oh, well, you know, if they keep Kuzmenko, they're just using the same foundation. That's part of their new foundation. They went out and got this guy. He's not an older guy that they inherited. They went out and got this guy. They're proud of him. He's worked out really well, and they kept him. I'm not saying that was the right move, but I'm also not going to criticize them and say, oh, well, you know, their foundation is flawed because Kuzmenko's a part of it, and they doubled down on Kuzmenko. Like they went out and got him. I think that's a fine move for them. I respect it in that sense. JT, it's a different conversation. Sure.
Yeah. I don't want
to keep talking about this.
I don't want to dig it up either.
I have something here.
One day when it's slower, we'll dive more into this. I just think that, you know,
I have something here.
You could have got a lot more 3 years down the road with a trade than you will, because you mentioned it. You won't be able to sign Kuzmenko after this deal.
Mm-hmm.
You likely won't, unless anyways, I'll talk about it another day.
Okay. So this is what I wanted to say. I want to talk about, so what now for the rest of the year? Where do the Canucks go from here? And I summed it up last night. This is, if everything goes perfectly, this is the perfect finish to the season for the Canucks.
Go easy on that table a little bit. You're shaking the camera.
Whatever.
I can see it.
Okay. Here's what I have.
Okay.
If the Canucks lose every game from here on out and get a seriously good spot in the Bedard sweepstakes, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a very good thing for this team.
Gimme. That's
a very good thing. So Canucks losing like every game from here on out, that's a very good thing for this team to go through. Now, while that's happening, JT Miller starts to work out some of his kinks at center, right? Starts to be a reliable, at least second line center that you can actually go into next season saying, you know what? Tocchet's got him playing defense. Tocchet has him, you know, feeling confident at center. Like, it's not all about JT's defensive play on the wing. Sometimes he just struggles to create offense when he's not playing on the wing, right? Like, he creates a lot more offense when he's on the wing than he is at center, right? Like, it's not all defense. I know the defense gets brought up a lot, but it's both. And I would like to see JT take some strides as a center. Now, if that happens, again, Elias Pettersson doesn't miss a beat with the coaching change, just continues to play the way he has been. And Beauvillier, Garland, Podkolzin, Besser, whoever, rebuild their value. Not so much Podkolzin doesn't belong in that conversation, but Beauvillier, Garland, Besser, rebuild their value. Look, team could trade one of those guys. They have too many wingers. Everybody knows that. Or, you know, they work out in Vancouver. Like, they're like, hey, we really like these guys and we want to keep one or two of them, right?
Yeah, that's a key point at the end there, one or two of them, because everything you said there, man, like that's I saw why the tin hat came out for a while there. That's a lot of things coming together to make it
that's
you're right.
End.
But what you're saying is, that is the perfect run to the season, right? Like, that is, if everything goes right. And listen, things, if you think about it, for the Canucks, things have gone almost entirely in their direction in recent years. Like, think about the bubble year, right? Everything went their direction, like, after the season shut down until the end of the year there, aside from, like, you know, losing to Vegas. Like, they had a lot of things go their way, and they had great goaltending last year at 5-on-5. Like, things can bounce the Canucks' way. This season, that has not happened. Not a lot of bounces, or, you know, not even just talking about bounces on the ice. I'm talking bounces around the organization. Like, nothing has gone really swimmingly for this organization up to this point. So you could see that happen. And I think that comes, though, like the bounces, they talk about that in hockey with luck, right? You got to create your own luck. I think it can be looked at in the organization a little bit, and how this process changes. You can actually get to the point of what you said, or like, if you set yourself up for it, yes, you can have that perfect end of the season, but you need to make sure that all the pieces are in the right spot to make it even possible. Right. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, is you are starting to see some of those pieces come into play and be into, you mentioned it, like, you need to see JT Miller at center. Well, now he's always going to be a top 6 center, right? You need to see Pettersson take more of a leadership role. Well, now he's got an A on his chest, and he's got that winger locked up for a while. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are setting themselves up to have what you talked about on what now could happen for the perfect season. Like, they're giving themselves an opportunity for it to happen, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think that's all you really want. And again, to answer the question that we posed, so where do the Canucks go from here? The place where I want to see the Canucks go, and again, all that best case scenario stuff aside, I want to see the Canucks follow through on what we just heard Tocchet say about, we're not interested in results, we're interested in building the process.
See, like, there was a couple things in that talk where I was like, wow, I really like that's what we've been saying.
That's
like,
all
there's a
you
lot
want to
of stuff.
see. That's where the Canucks go from here is they don't change their philosophy and say, well, you know what? Winning matters. We got to start getting some wins here. Build that process. Build that process. Roll 4 lines. Don't injure Quinn Hughes because you played him for 29 minutes a night. You know what I mean? That's where the Canucks have to go from here. And whatever happens, I think it's going to be a lot of losses. Happens, right? The other thing.
I like it, though.
Where the Canucks go from here, play JT at center. I know he's probably going to complain about playing center. Again, I won't use the word complain, but he has said, I just feel better at wing.
Yeah.
Don't let him have his way there. He has to play center for this team. He has to. And this is a rare opportunity before an extension kicks in for you to actually teach this guy how to play center because you're going to need him to for the next 8 years, 7 years.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you say. You don't have to, you don't have to be a brainiac to see that this team isn't going to be a playoffs team. You can see that they're just able to play out the rest of the season here. And if they can work on some things instead of working on getting wins, it's going to benefit them more for next season and the year after that. So that's the way I'm looking at it too. I think we could have a finish to the season where there's a lot of positivity. And I think the more positivity actually comes from the more losses, which is kind of rare in a sports organization. That if you think about it, if the Canucks were to lose more games than they did in the start of the year, as they kind of finish up the season here, people would be pretty positive because they're knowing that at least there's a very high pick coming back and this team is taking that step back. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to get these call-ups in?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Podkolzin, Niels Amon, Phil DiGiuseppe, my guys here. They all got called up from the AHL here, get an opportunity to get in the lineup. Canucks needed some bodies. You mentioned them, Kiev. Obviously, Bo Horvat's out the door. You have Anthony Beauvillier coming in, but we did see the Canucks announce this. What was this, Sunday? Right? They talked about this, Saturday.
Sunday night, these lines.
No, these lines, yeah, but the call-up. The call-up, they got it, I think it was Saturday because there was an Abbotsford game that night. You saw some different bodies. And let me just run some numbers of what these guys did in the AHL. Vasily Podkolzin had 28 games, 7 goals, 11 assists for 18 points in 28 games, like I said. Niels Amon had 4 goals and 5 assists for 9 points in 17 games. Phil DiGiuseppe, 13 goals, 17 assists, 30 points in 33 games. I know we want to spend a lot of time and a little bit of time talking about Podkolzin here, right? But I'm very happy to see Phil DiGiuseppe get in the NHL. Okay, he's been really putting in work for this organization with what he's done in the AHL. I think it's great for him to get an opportunity. It's a good story, I think, for the Canucks moving forward to finally see DiGiuseppe get an opportunity to play in the NHL for the Canucks. I know he got the one game in there before or whatever, but I think it's good to see PDG here. What are you doing over there?
I'm getting ready to drop some wisdom on you.
All right, drop some wisdom.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
I did my own research.
Wow.
And I was talking to some folks out in Abbotsford.
Who?
Behind your back.
Who are you talking to out in Abbotsford?
I was talking to some people about what happened while those guys were down there. And during his time in Abbotsford, I wrote this. If you read my stuff at Canucks Army, the 9 articles a day I write.
I read them all.
Niels Amon looked a step above everybody in Abbotsford during his games down there. He looked like a guy who should be in the NHL, and you're hoping that, again, when they sent him down, they said he just needs to get some confidence back, similar to Niels Höglander. But for Amon, you're hoping that he, built some penalty killing chops because he did play a lot of penalty kill time. And again, you want to get guys off the penalty kill and limit ice time. You need those bottom 6 guys to do something, is what Tocchet likes to say. You need Amon to do that. So I'm interested to see Amon if he is someone they use as a penalty killer. Similar story for PDG as well. This guy's just been knocking at the door for an NHL opportunity for a while, and you're hoping to see the Paisano get a shot here with the Canucks this time around. And it looks like he will tonight. He's only played in 1 game over the past 2 seasons that he's been with Vancouver. Now, Niels Höglander, he didn't get the call up. Didn't really come as a surprise, if I'm being honest. We have had this conversation a few times on this show. The things that Podkolzin was doing in Abbotsford, Podkolzin looked like an NHL player playing in Abbotsford. I know the point totals might not reflect that, but he did look like an NHL player. Höglander's learning a lot more of the X's and O's of the game down in Abbotsford, and the best way to learn that is just by playing a ton. Podkolzin just needs to get his confidence back.
Yeah, and Podkolzin season high in shots the other day in the NHL. He was at the point where it was like, okay, he's done enough to get ready. I don't think Höglander's there yet.
No, exactly. And again, like I said, X's and O's for Höglander.
Plus the 2 games away. Forget Höglander's been in the NHL for, what is this, his 3rd season?
Yeah. Yes,
Damn,
3-year ELC.
that's wild.
Yep.
So third year, he's at the point where he's 2 games away from being eligible for waivers.
Yes.
Right. So he hits waivers in 2 months. So like this should be his last stay in the AHL. So I don't think it's a worry to let him marinate a little bit more time.
No, absolutely
because that's
not.
the other thing. You want to send him down for the AHL playoffs. You got to pass through waivers, bro.
Yeah,
he plays 2 more games in the NHL. You want to? I'd be curious if they keep him the whole year. Now that I think about it, like you want him to get that opportunity. Does he have more to gain in the AHL playoffs than playing in the NHL? I think that's
so.
A discussion you could have.
I think so, and then I think you move out a couple wingers in the offseason. You keep Beauvillier. I think they're going to like Beauvillier. I think Beauvillier is going to impress people.
Here's what people keep asking me. So yeah, this whatever call ups here. You got Podkolzin, Namon, DiGiuseppe. Get ready for this one, Alex. The super one. This is what everyone keeps asking me. When the hell are we going to see Christian Wolanin? He's taking part in the AHL All-Star game today over in Laval. When the heck are we going to see Wolanin get a chance here with the Canucks, right? It's not like there's a ton of guys on the defense core in the NHL that need to be there. I'd be very fine with Wolanin getting a chance to play over Riley Stillman, right? Like it is a little bit of a roadblock there with, OEL, who we've seen healthy scratched. Obviously it's a little bit different now with Tocchet in there, but we've seen, Travis Dermott play on the left side. He can maybe move to the right. There's some serious options. I don't think we see Wolanin until maybe Luke Schenn gets traded, right? Until maybe that happens. But the dude's got 50 points in 45 AHL games. Like he's doing some really good work out there. And it's not like, Wolanin's not just out there playing like a, Jalen Chatfield style in the AHL where you're just like, Chris Tanev type of player. Doesn't bring a lot offensively. You're just out there and you're good defensively. That's not what Wolanin does. He's out there moving the puck, creating a lot of things that you love to see from the back end. Obviously, he's getting involved in a lot of the scoring. Dude's got 50 points in 45 AHL games. He's leading the Abbotsford Canucks in scoring. You have to at least have a look at this guy in the NHL from what he's done so far in the AHL. It's incredibly impressive.
I mean, yeah, what do you have to lose, right? Like you look at that defense core, we just saw it. It ain't pretty.
No.
And again,
we'll circle back on Podkolzin. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, you just notice like, people pointed out like, oh, well, your perfect scenario for the Canucks doesn't include fixing the defense. Yeah, how are they going to do that? The idea
and listen, Wolanin's not going to fix it, but it just give him a shot. Like what is
that's my point.
I've seen Wolanin play a lot this year, and I know it's at a different level, but I've seen how he is with the puck, around the puck, defending against the puck. I've seen a lot of Riley Stillman this year, and I don't think that Wolanin's going to be worse.
Yep.
And one guy's playing in the NHL, one guy isn't. So I would make that switch.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Podkolzin, I got Tocchet on Podkolzin. Yeah. You hear this? Do you hear what Tocchet? He wants Podkolzin. We'll play this real quick. The audio from Rick Tocchet talking about what he sees in Vasily Podkolzin, what he expects when he gets up here to the NHL, makes his return to the NHL tonight. Let's hear from Rick Tocchet.
He's a heavy guy. To me, he's a give and go. He's an inside player, so that's our job to develop into that. That's what he is. I want him to be a real heavy guy along the boards. A moose around the net. I think that's why they drafted him. So I think he's done a nice job in the minors, and calling him up. We need that in this organization. We need wall players. We need guys that can play inside, and he's a guy that we have to develop into that role.
Quickly on that, I know that you've never gone camping before. So I don't think. Well, whatever. You've been. But you were in a cabin. You never slept in a tent.
I was in a tent.
Yeah, right. You weren't on a tent.
I was in a tent.
Yeah, it was probably one of those tents in the back of a truck or something. But anyways, I think I know the answer to this. Have you ever seen a moose in real life?
No.
Oh my dude, I never saw a moose until I was working in Grand Prairie. And there was one walking through the city. I thought it was like I was ready to call the cops because I didn't know they were actually that big. Like I knew that moose are big. But when I actually saw one in person, it was up on its back legs, eating from a tree, like eating some leaves or some pine cones. I don't know, something out of there. And they were eating. I could not believe. I was blown away with how big a moose actually is in person. It is crazy big how big it is. Anyways, Podkolzin, he's got to be a moose for Rick Tocchet.
When he says he's a heavy player, do you think Tocchet just comes in, picks everybody up to figure out who he wants playing on the boards?
Quads Broad in the chat right now says, Soyuz doesn't count. That's not camping. You've never been camping.
It counts. Anyways.
No, you're not. You're probably in a tent in a living room like you used to do when you were a kid, having a little camp out. That's what your camping is.
All right, move on.
All right, you want to get to some prospects here? I got a 10-minute runway. Oh, baby.
Don't go for full 10 minutes. Let's go.
I know. All right. Prospect rankings. Let's get it up. I got 10-4. I included this for I think Alex has got this all set up here. I think he does. Look at this. I built this another one myself here, so another good little thing here. My prospect rank has been dropping over at Canucks Army. Having a lot of fun with that, obviously. But I do want to get some clips up. But let's start with it. Quads, any name that you were surprised to see in a certain number there on the list? You got to be included in this segment. I'm not letting you
Not
drop
gonna
out
lie
here.
to you. Not gonna lie.
Which one surprised you?
Okay.
Or quickly before you answer, Atu Ratu, we put him at 0 because I didn't have enough time to like evaluate where he is compared to the other prospects, which I think is fair.
I was surprised that Philip Johansson was higher than Yanni Yermo. And you got Johansson at 8, and you got Yermo as an honorable mention. Now, let me explain to you why. I'm looking at this in the sense of, what are these guys' ceilings, right? Like, I think Yanni Yermo's low end is probably Philip Johansson's high end. Like, I think Yanni Yermo's gonna play in the AHL, and I think he's gonna be a fine AHL defenseman. I don't think Johansson, I'd love to be proven wrong. And again, I've only know about him what I've read and watched from you, like many out there. Johansson to me just seems like a guy whose ceiling is basically to be, a 7-8 defenseman in the NHL at best, and probably like a decent AHL defenseman.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a power play one guy in the AHL.
So what do you think Yanni Yermo is?
I think Yanni Yermo is going to struggle when he gets to North America. That's what I think he's going to do. I think the game is going to it's going to be difficult for him to listen. He's made improvements in Liga this past year, but now he's going to have to adjust to a whole nother league. And you're already worried about a guy's kind of awareness on the ice. And now you're changing leagues for him. He's going to have a really tough time, I think, making that adjustment. But I do think he's going to come over to North America potentially after this season. I know that's his dream. He wants to get over here.
I also saw Koskembo was not in the number 3 spot, which is a little different.
Hey, listen, man, Koskembo, I love him, but he's not playing. Okay. He's not playing any games. He's just down at Harvard, getting educated. Right?
What an idiot.
He's becoming a brainiac down there.
A brainiac, you say?
Yeah, that's what he's becoming down there.
I've said that a few times today.
Smart guy.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he's going to come out of there. He's going to be a brainiac in the end of it.
All right.
So, all right, let me get to a couple. There was one because I saw a couple people didn't like that Arshdeep Bains was number 10. A couple people were like, oh, you got to have Yermo there. You got to have, I gave Kirill Kudryavtsev some hate apparently from having him not in the top 10. Let me show you this one play in the AHL from Arshdeep Bains. Shout out Covey Severson for clipping this. This is just, I tell you, this is the effort that you like to see from a player who wants to get an
What
NHL
number
job.
is he?
So you can see number 9 right here. He's in the corner. But look at this full space. You're coming on a back check. Look at the effort level. Okay? You don't see that from everyone. All the prospects don't do that. Boom. Forces a turnover. Okay?
That's fair.
I'm sorry. I know this isn't a highlight goal or anything on the prospects report, but Arshdeep Bains goes from one corner of the ice, meets the player in the center, forces a little bit of a hurry to a pass, and then makes a hit to force a turnover. That's a first-round pick, William Eklund, right there.
Hey,
he just forced that.
Like for the podcast listeners, there it was a cross-ice pass that
Yep.
Noah Juleson couldn't handle. In the winger beat Juleson, and Arshdeep Bains, because he was storming back, similar to Elias Pettersson does when you watch him play in the NHL.
And that's just one of
Bains
many
is
for
coming
Bains,
back.
man. Like he's a smart player, and he's creating a decent amount of offense in the AHL. But I like him at 10. I like him to be a 4th line guy in the NHL someday if he continues to develop. Last one I want to get to. Klimovich, up to 10 goals. I saw somebody in the chat ask about Klimovich. I'll get to in a second here. Danila Klimovich was able to force a turnover, come in and makes that shot, scores on a breakaway. He doesn't score that last year, okay? What's going on here? In the back, they got the green screen. Jeez. Okay. Look at this. All right. I don't know what's going on there.
Okay, let's go. Podcast listeners hate us.
I know. Danila Klimovich. You know what I heard? I listened back to us opening the hockey cards. We're not doing that again for the pod. We're not doing 2 packs each. We'll do one. That was like 4 minutes for the podcast listeners that I apologize so badly for. That was I listened back to it to hear what it is, and I was like, oh, sounded horrible.
Okay.
But that's all I got.
Betway.
Hold on. I got a picture of Klimovich here. I don't know if you've even seen this, Quads.
As you're like, oh yeah, the podcast listeners, we should be nice to them. I got a picture.
Picture of Danila Klimovich.
No, I haven't seen the picture.
It's a good one here. I got it up for the YouTube folks anyways. Let me go Atu Ratu for a little bit. Okay, he's number 0 on our rankings. Played 2 games with Abbotsford. Let me just quick takeaways. I thought he was actually pretty good in the face-off dot. Wasn't great, wasn't horrible. He was just kind of like a little bit better than I expected. Looked okay. I liked actually just like some of the, I don't want to call it like structure of how he takes the face off, but just the way he looks in there. He looks like he's a confident guy in the face off dot. Hope he stays there at center. Really like the way how he created created open space for himself, right? Like he went to the slot, he went to the areas of the ice where a pass could be coming to him to create some offense and score some goals. Pace was definitely an issue though. Okay. Like, yeah, there wasn't a lot of power coming off of his kicks. And I think that's something that he's going to work on with the skating coach. If he can improve that, there's a lot of other parts of his game that I really liked. Like I did like how he handles the puck. He's not a guy like he's able to always kind of keep that possession. There's only 2 games I've watched, but he was able to, when the puck gets to his stick, he's going to shoot it or he's going to pass it. He doesn't lose it that often. So that was good to see from Aatu Räty. That's all I really got from that. So that's all. That's my prospects report there.
Betway.
Well, Betway. What do we got for Betway here? Canucks are playing tonight.
You know what I like? This was in the, and I'll do the segment today, actually.
Betway?
Yeah.
Betway.
Pull it up, Alex. I liked this. We have our own little series over at Canucks Army called the Betway Bets of the Day, courtesy of Nikhil. And Nikhil likes...
Nikhil's up big this year, too.
Yeah, he is. Anthony Beauvillier to score a goal tonight. I really like that. Guys getting an opportunity to play with Elias Pettersson. I like Anthony Beauvillier to score a goal. I believe those are plus 275 odds over at Betway,
really?
Betway. And your bets today, JT Miller or Andrei Kuzmenko to score a goal at minus 138. $10 bet gets you $17.27 in return. And then the second one, the New Jersey Devils to win on the money line, over 6.5 total
the big
goals.
one. That's what I always say.
And Jack Hughes and Elias Pettersson both to score a goal at plus 900 odds. $10 bet there gets you $100 in return.
There you go.
If you choose to play, please play responsibly and go check out Canucks Army. Go check out those beautiful graphics over at canucksarmy.com on Instagram. That's spelled out .com, DOTCOM, after the Canucks Army there. Check it out on Instagram. And don't forget to enter our Montana's giveaway. We're going to be there tomorrow. No show tomorrow. We'll be back on Wednesday to break down
tell people we don't have
the Monday night
tomorrow,
game. We'll be back to break it down. It'll be a good episode, folks.
We'll be back on Wednesday. Get y'all prepped for
right.
the Horvat and Islanders
That's
match.
Right.
That's going to be
Thursday.
a big game. But yeah, we're out at Montana's tomorrow.
Going to be a good time.
So
Come
awesome.
say hi, folks. For my co-host, Chris Faber.
No. People guessed a bunch of people got the name.
Yeah. Well,
Word of the day. Well, I said it wasn't a very hard one. I feel like I've heard of this word.
Brainiac.
Like I clearly am not a brainiac.
Yeah. Okay. Are we done? You done? Okay. Also, Anthony Beauvillier is a winger. Corey Anderson jumped in the chat and said, he's a center, guys. I don't know where this debate came from. He's played his entire life at center, and Alvin specifically said they wanted a center in the return for both.
Yeah, he's a center, man. I could tell you that. He's a center for sure. The way he plays, he's a center.
I think he has potential to be a center, but he hasn't played at center.
And that's the thing. Everybody worried because I think he was playing the wing for Finland at the World Juniors, and that's, everybody's going to watch the World Juniors to see him playing the wing.
Yeah.
They're like, no. He was a center in Liga. He was a center in the AHL. He's a center.
How about in the NHL?
Don't worry about it. In the NHL, he was playing on the wing, but that's because he's still 20 years old.
I'm actually all for it. All for it. Them trying to develop him into a center. That's part of the Quads plan officially. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks to everybody in the chat today. We had a good show today. For my co-host Chris Faber and our technical producer Alex Szilard, my name is Dave Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation
on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?